everybody, this is Noelle at Petitti Garden Centers, and we're here going to do a store tour for you on our specialty conifers, or we like to call them evergreens. We have a lot to offer at Petitti's. All the different stores carry lots of different varieties of unusual conifers, and this is going to be something a little bit different from your norm. We see pyramidal arborvitaes every day when we drive down the street. We see small junipers all the time. We have spotlights on those plants. But these plants that we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to kind of bucket them in different families, are a little bit more unique, more sculptural in the garden. And that's really the key here. So we're going to talk about how to grow them and kind of where to use them in the landscape as well. To start out with, there are several families here that we're going to talk about today. Most of these families really like sunny spots, okay? They would prefer to have that 6 or more hours of sunlight doing really, really well. So I'm going to name off a few. For example, your spruce, your pines, they love that full sun. Even that cedar behind me, that weeping cedar right there, that one loves full sun too. There are other families that are, let's say, the fir family, or maybe Hinoki cypress, if you've ever heard of that before, or maybe weeping Alaskan cedars, if you've heard of that family. Those are kind of lumped into what we call a false cypress family called Chamaecyparis. And those actually like full sun to part shade. So if you had a little bit more sheltered area, shady area, you could try those specialty conifers in that area, okay? The ones that are the best for shade are going to be your hemlock family. And there are some kind of small, cute little hemlocks that we'll show you at the end here. And those are really for that part shade to full shade condition. So we'll show you those in just a bit. The next thing that you need to know always when we're talking about different plant families is, what do they really like as far as soil is concerned? And I'm going to tell you, every single conifer plant, pretty much, they all want to be in well-drained soil. It can be evenly moist, but well-drained, never waterlogged, okay? And that's hard in our area when we have a lot of clay soil. You've got to work on either raising the beds up or giving them really good drainage, working in maybe something like a Spoma soil perfector, or working in that organic matter, 50-50. We usually say start with 50% your existing soil and add 50% organic matter to the soil. So again, it could be compost, leaf humus, sweet peat, whatever you want to add to it, planting mix. All of those things are really good, but you got to make sure your soil is well drained. And the other thing is acidic, okay? Most of these conifers do like acidity. Some can take a little neutral condition, soil condition. We tend to be naturally acidic up here in Northeast Ohio. But again, you want to make sure that when you are, and we're going to jump to that next topic, feeding these plants, we usually feed them, let's say 2 to 3 times a year with your conifers. And we use Hollytone. Hollytone is going to be your slow release acidic food. It's organic, all natural, really, really good for these evergreens. So again, a spring feeding and a late fall feeding are really good. If you feel like something's looking a little tired midsummer, you certainly could give them a fertilization midsummer as well if you wanted to, okay? With these plants, as far as uses are concerned, oh my gosh, my favorite thing out there is that focal point statement plant out among the landscape. So that's where a lot of these come into play. And when you're looking at designing a landscape, we tend to design very tall and kind of columnar on the left-hand side of the landscape, or the home, the front of the home, let's say, and kind of move down and low to the right side of the landscape. So that's where we see maybe some of the more smaller, kind of rounded, mounded, or maybe little lollipop type of structural conifers that we see out there in the landscape. A lot of the weeping varieties are gorgeous at the corners as well. They can kind of take your landscape and just kind of keep the eye moving throughout the landscape. So that's really nice too. So these plants are really that thriller in the landscape. Many of them are. Smaller varieties are really good for rock gardens. Even Asian gardens, if you're into, there's a lot of different Asian varieties out here too. But again, it's that those different structures as they grow, and maybe some of these plants will be small and mounded when they're younger, but as they grow, they might have more horizontal branching or more weeping branching or what have you. So again, a lot of different varieties out there to look for that really cool just specimen in the landscape in the garden. Okay, and I will say when you have a nice lawn area, let's say, and you need kind of a vantage point, a viewpoint out towards the back of that area, it's a really good place to stick a specimen, especially kind of a weeping specimen as well, next to maybe a pond, water feature, what have you. It's always really, really nice too. So things to think about. We can use these as screens, don't get me wrong, or use them as a clustered planting. Some of the more narrow columnar type varieties look really good that way. Others might be really nice kind of trailing off of a rock wall. So different places to use them. But again, typically sunny places, well-drained soil. Just keep that in mind. That's really, really, it's a tough lesson to learn in Northeast Ohio, but if these plants get waterlogged, they will not be happy, okay? So as we're going through here, I just wanted to show you a couple of the spruce family, okay? And so with the spruces, there are short needled, very deer resistant. There are columnar types. There are weeping types. And I'm going to show you this one. So this is actually a Norway spruce, Picea abies, Norway spruce. And you normally see the original Norways are really, really tall evergreen trees, beautiful kind of sweeping branches, and then they have sort of pendulous branchlets off of those sweeping branches. So they're really, really beautiful in the background. And I'm kind of wondering, Taylor, if we have some in the background back there. But again, there are unusual varieties. So something like this is a Norway spruce here, and this one's called Gold Drift. And look at it, it's really unique, sort of columnar, has a little bit of a skirt down at the bottom, grows up and can come up, and it can be trained as more of a columnar, straight up plant if you want it, or it can be trained as something that kind of weeps over in the landscape, and you can determine the height with that training. So that comes to my next tip is with many of these kind of unique sort of weeping or columnar types, it just depends on your staking because there's a stake right here that we started training this plant with. But I could add another stake to keep this leader keep on moving up and go straight up, or I could let it just start to weep down and have some of these branches kind of weep over the side. So it definitely depends what you want to do. This is a little dwarf Serbian spruce down here. This is Amarica, so Picea Amarica. This one's called Nana. Lots of times when you walk through the nursery, the conifer nursery, you see little sort of birds' nests, spruces, and that type of thing. This is kind of along the lines, except when you look very close at Serbian spruce, they have really pretty kind of silvery blue needles. And so it's a nice sort of green, silver, blue bicolor on this little Nana Serbian spruce. So do look for something like that. And then sometimes you'll see spruce like this. This is a white spruce. This is called Montrose Charm, okay? And Montrose Charm has a very unique color. It's sort of gray, dusty gray-green. And this spruce, even though it looks really cute and little right now, can grow up to about 25 foot. It is what we call a columnar spruce. So again, very, very tall and narrow. that slight pyramid habit. So you won't see it come out to full pyramid. It'll just be very narrow. And then it grows up and you get this beautiful evergreen column that is really, really hardy, very, very easy and to grow. And they do wonderfully in lots of hard to grow areas and can make it pretty screen, like I said, or kind of a clump planting with 3 of them in a triangle. That would be really nice too. So the spruces, definitely look for those unique varieties, those weeping varieties. We do have a blue spruce called the Wave, which is really cool, planted at the edge of a garden, trailing over a rock wall. We have globosa spruce, which are little blue spruce balls, again, on a sometimes on a standard, sometimes by themselves. So again, there's lots in the spruce family, and we're going to show you some more. We are by some of my favorite sculptural evergreens, conifers, evergreens. They really are absolutely beautiful. These are what we call Chamaecyparis nootka. If you've ever heard of that, it's either sometimes they're referred to as Nootka cypress, false cypress, Alaskan cedar. If you've ever heard of that, weeping Alaskan cedar, lots of different names, and they are all wonderful. And I'm standing by 4 different varieties, believe it or not. So you've got quite a bit of selection, but everybody really enjoys them out there. Now, I mentioned earlier with false cypress, they like to be in full sun, so 6 or more hours of sunlight. But if you had that part shade condition, not a problem. Again, just well drained soil. Always remember that with these guys. Um, I wanted to show you the original. So the original here is off to my left-hand side. These plants, this is pendula, okay? Pendula is the one that you see out in the landscape, really, really beautiful, 15 to 30 foot tall, okay? It will grow upright in kind of an open, loose pyramid, right? And then its branches will come and always kind of be down swept. We'll always have that sort of drooping or weeping, draping effect. Really, really gorgeous in the landscape. We typically will use these kind of in a left corner of a landscape, really giving us some height and some texture out there. Very soft needles, no problem. They produce little tiny, tiny cones. So really not any issue with that too. But boy, they're just so pretty out there. Lots of them are kind of a sort of medium green, not too unique as far as the foliage color is, excuse me, but some of them might be a little bit more blue-green. So when you look at the different varieties, you might want to look at the texture if you're going, or the color, I should say, if you're going for a certain color range, okay? So pendula, like I said, 15 to 30 foot tall, so they will grow up there, okay? And then they do get sort of a buttressy kind of underneath or skirt at the base. You're looking probably 8 to 15 foot wide, okay? So big, big trees, give them some space, all right? The next one from pendula is called dense pendula. And look at this little shorty. But when you look at it, it's way thicker in the middle. And that's how this plant is. So when it grows up, it's going to have a lot more branches, side branches. So it is going to be thicker. You won't be able to see through the plant necessarily when it's older. It's going to really fill in and be like more of a shaggy, really sculptural effect out there. So that's pendula dense, same height. This one right here is called strict weeping, and it is really cool. It's a little bit smaller, I should say shorter than the original pendula and pendula dense, but this one is going to grow up and it's going to be very, very straight and narrow. And so probably, let's say 15 to 25 foot, so just a little bit shorter than the others. But the narrowness in the form is going to be really cool, maybe 3 to 6 foot. So it is not a wide weeper at all. It will stay in that nice column. And as it gets more mature, you have to see really mature pictures of this plant. It starts to produce like arms and a little bit of like side leaders. And so it starts to take on kind of a green giant personality. So it really is a cool plant. So that's strict weeper. This last one is called Green Arrow, And green arrow again is going to be narrow and it's going to grow up probably about 20 foot tall, I would say. Again, it looks very, very narrow at the start, and it does. It kind of stays very close to the trunk on this tree. At the bottom of green arrow, it forms a little bit of a skirt. So it's a little bit wider than strict weeping, but they have like similar heights. Maybe this one's a little bit shorter. But again, very, very narrow. You won't see any kind of branching offshoot of this one. It just grows straight up. So again, cool family for that really cool focal point out there. We are by the Douglas fir. So this is Pseudotsuga menensii, which is so cool. It's a cool name to say. This is a typical standard Douglas fir. These little Christmas trees, don't let them fool you. They'll usually grow about 2 foot a year and can get probably close to 35, 40 foot tall. So just be aware of that. But there's some really cool fir varieties out there. These two are also Douglas fir. This one down below, I love all the twisting branches. This one is called green twister, okay? Now, I have to say, and I forgot to mention this, but this kind of holds true. A lot of these evergreens that are specialty, that have this kind of a sculptural effect, they can be on the slower side of developing. So I don't want you to think that these plants are going to grow 20 foot tall in 5 years. That's not how they grow. They're actually much, much slower. And again, with pruning during the dormant season, you can control and kind of shape the plants the way that you want them in the landscape, okay? So green twister right here, maybe anywhere from 8 foot to 20 foot tall, again, just depending on the shape of it. And then probably about 5 to 15 foot wide. Graceful Grace, she's on the end here. You can tell a little bit weeping, but again, you can train her to have more columnar growth if you want to. She can grow up to 40 foot as long as you train that leader straight up, but she does a nice job weeping over the side as well. So it kind of depends how you want her to look in the landscape, but very, very narrow. So she sort of reminds me of that shape of the weeping Alaskan cedar, right? Very narrow, kind of down swept branches, very, very pretty, narrow at the base, maybe 5 to 10 foot wide at the base, and beautiful cones. And I love this, that she has those shaggy Douglas fir cones on her. So she's really, really cool. The one that I have here on my right is actually one of the coolest firs. This is a Korean fir, and it's called Hortsman's Cyberlock. And the Cyberlock is silver hair, I want to say, or silver curl. And it kind of refers to its really cool needles. It has this green on the top, bright green, but underneath it is bright white, silvery white. You can really see that two-tone effect throughout this plant. It's a slow grower again. Just be aware of that with the Korean fir. And I should mention the fir again are soft needled conifers. They do really nicely for us. But this one, wow, just the effect in the landscape. It does have a pyramidal habit as it grows up. Really, really beautiful, but again, slow growing. I'd say max height on this that I've seen, the tallest one that I've seen around is about 20 foot tall, okay? Maybe about 8 foot wide or so. So again, slow growing, but really, really cool effect out there. Hi, everybody. We're looking at the pine family now. So this is Pinus. Again, full sun for pines, very, very, prickly. Those needles are sharp, except for white pine. White pine is called Pinus strobus. It's very, very soft needled. It's a wonderful, wonderful plant. We do have a weeping Pinus strobus pendula that is absolutely gorgeous by our office. So Taylor will show you photos. I have dressed it up as an elephant or a woolly mammoth for Halloween before. So just so you know. But those are really, really cool. And they're part of that pine family. So when you see some of the pines, you think, oh my gosh, these are huge, pyramidal trees and whatnot. But they do grow really, really well for us. Again, full sun for the pines for the most part. Well-drained soil. Always have to have that well-drained soil. I just keep reiterating it. Now, next to me, I have this really cool Bosnian pine, okay? Now, Really, really dark green, really cool long needles. Awesome, awesome plant. Has beautiful purpley blue cones in it. So we'll have Taylor take a picture of those up close. This plant grows kind of narrow and sort of compact when it's small, but as it keeps on growing, it's going to give you this kind of fuzzy textured evergreen. It is so cool in the background. So you're going to have kind of a tufted, fuzzy pyramidal tree. So it's worth a look for. I'd say about 30 to 40 foot tall. Again, not a fast grower, maybe 15 to 20 wide, but fuzzy, very, very cool texture out there. So look for the Bosnian pine. Over my shoulder right here, I have, this is a blue Japanese pine, excuse me, and or sorry, this is a blue version of a Japanese white pine, not to get you guys more confused. So this is Pinus parvifolia. And Pinus parvifolia here, this one's glauca. So that's where that blue comes into, glauca variety. And so what you find here is just a very unique structure, kind of open, if you will. It will move into more of that pyramidal look that we're used to, but over a slow time period again. Really pretty sort of dark black cones here. But the needles on this again have sort of a curve to them. They sort of whirl and twist, and they have that, they show off that blue, green, white underside that makes this plant just look cool. The color, the texture, the open habit, really, really neat. I would say probably similar height to the Bosnian pine behind me. So maybe 20 to 40 foot, but over a really long period of time. Okay, so these will keep on, growing slowly for you. And again, prune them as you need to prune them during the dormant season. Okay, this little one down below, this is an Austrian pine. Okay, this is a little mounder, and you guys are gonna laugh at me when I tell you the name. It's Horny Burkiana. Okay, and it is a low mounded, if you're looking for like a cool tufted textural plant, just bright green, this is the one for you. Okay, so Pinus nigra, and that will grow maybe let's say 2 to maybe 4, 5 foot tall, and probably about the same width. So this nice mounded tufted pine, really, really cool. And then this one over here, it has an unusual look to it. The leader is kind of off to the side. And the reason being is this is actually called a burr pine. So B-U-R, pine. This pine is also known as a mountain tabletop pine. So when you go to a mountainous area and you see pines that are kind of flat topped and reaching kind of over the edge, it probably or could be a burr pine. So again, slow growing, but they have that flat topped kind of spreading effect out there. So this would be one of those conifers that I would plant sort of at a distance, at a vantage point, kind of down at the end of a walkway where you have space, or the end of a lawn area where you have space for it to fill out and spread, because it's really, really cool. And I'd say probably 20 to 40 foot of spread as the branches do reach out. So do look for that one. That's a really cool one. We are standing among, yes, well, actually Taylor's in the roses, but I'm in the Hinoki cypress. So Hinoki cypress, as I mentioned, is part of that Chamaecyparis family, false cypress, if you will, but really, really cool. So Chamaecyparis obtusa, typically with the cypress. Taylor apologizes. She's dealing with the sun coming in and out of the clouds today, folks. So she's having a rough day. So give her a break. But anyway, woo, we got a full blast now. So needless to say, you will see all different colors, shades of green, yellow, really, really beautiful plants. And talk about slow growing. These are very, very slow growing plants. Out in front of me, that's Giddy, that yellow kind of low and tufted variety right there. Very, very fun, like along a walkway or again in an Asian garden. These fill in really, really nicely. I have, I'm standing by more upright. This is Phyllocoides. Phyllocoides, again, you can train. It'll go very slowly upright, but it kind of has that, again, very narrow habit and sort of some side branches. The Hinokis are known for having, again, sun to part shade tolerance and some of the softest ferny foliage. And their needles that they have as a conifer are very, very unique. Every variety of Hinoki cypress that you look at has a different sort of shaped needle. Sometimes they're fanned and cupped, sometimes they're like separate fingers. It just depends on the variety that you want. So lots of times we'll see the low green mounded varieties that will start as kind of a round mound and then they'll start to sort of grow amorphous, which is really cool. Again, that shape, that different texture out there, that different color out there. So look for your Hinokis. Fern spray yellow, love it. So lots of varieties to come and explore. For one of our last conifers that we wanted to show you, more ornamental, you're familiar with hemlocks. They're usually very large pyramidal evergreens that you'll find in, on nature walks and things and in shady landscapes. So if you have that part shade to full shade condition, these are going to be the evergreens to grow for you. But it's really cool that some of these newer varieties are very short and compact. So the one I have in front of me with the white tips, this is actually called Moonfrost. There is also a green variety called Judlow. And what's cool about these, again, is you're getting that sort of nest effect and shape and habit with this new growth, new color coming out at the tips. So Moonfrost has those beautiful white tips that really stand out in the shade. Judlow will have a bright green tip that again will stand out in the shade as that new growth comes on. Again, the habit's sort of low and rounded. We're looking at about 2 to 4 foot tall and wide. So kind of the shape of a hydrangea, if you will. So really, really nice. But if you're, again, looking for sort of unique, different coloring, wonderful habits, just something a little bit different for your shady spot, come look at some of the dwarf hemlocks, okay? So just remember our walkthrough, we've shown you a lot of families and there's so much more folks there. I can't even go through all the different varieties. There's just too much to talk about, but I wanted to keep this in mind. With these, again, make sure you look at your sun requirements that'll be on the tags for you. Then also your height and your width, because some of these need a lot of space. Some of them can use a smaller space or grow in a smaller space, a tighter corner or what have you. So just pay attention to that when you get to the tags and always that well-drained soil. I'm sorry, I keep on iterating, but well-drained soil and that first year you get them in the ground, make sure you do the 1 inch of water one time per week, excuse me, slow and deep watering if you don't have any rainfall. If you're getting rainfall, you just need to supplement up to that 1 inch and you will be just fine, okay? Get them established, get those roots to grow down in the soil, give them a little bit of mulch, maybe an inch or two around, and then those plants will be ready to go for you, okay? So especially evergreens walk through, enjoy.